Hey, this is Seth with Electrek, and today we're at the juice factory. No, just kidding, we're at my house, but we're big juice fans here. I purchased my own Scorpion. We got the Hyper Scorpion here, and today we're here to take a look at Juiced's latest creation, the HyperScrambler 2. And 2 is a little bit of a interesting thing because I don't know if they really actually put out any HyperScrambler 1s, but 2 could also stand for these two batteries here. They're kilowatt hour each at 52 volts and 19.2 amp hours, which compares to the Hyper Scorpion, which only has one of those batteries. There's a couple other big differences here. Obviously, the frame style, the geometry is a lot different on the HyperScrambler 2. It's got a triangle, whereas the Scorpions, both Hyper and regular, are kind of like the old 70s, 80s mopeds, with the nice area you can kind of stick your leg through if getting over high seat posts is a problem. On the flip side, these Scorpions have kind of a low seat. Like, I'm not sure if you can tell from here, but you're riding pretty low, which is good because you have a low center of gravity. On the flip side of that, pedaling becomes kind of an issue if you're tall or even like, medium adult size. I'm 6 foot, and it's kind of a hassle to pedal on the regular Scorpion. I have to get pretty far back. I'm almost riding in the back there. I got a seat riser for the Hyper Scorpion, which helps a lot, actually. If you guys are getting a Scorpion and you're an adult size, I recommend it highly. But that only raises it a couple inches. And then if you look, compared to the tire, you're probably another half foot off the ground with the Hyper Scorpion. Also, you've got, the Hyper Scrambler 2. Also, you've got a really big seat here, so no problem putting 2 people on there. Whereas with the Scorpions, you can get a rear seat adapter for this thing, which is perfect. But if you don't do that, the rear rider is going to have a sore behind. So some other things that we should look at the difference. Obviously, the geometry is different, but the suspension is remarkably similar to the Hyper Scorpion and the Scorpion. You notice back here the suspension. The regular Scorpion doesn't have suspension. It's a hardtail. Also in the front, and I'm not sure if this is actually an earlier kind of prototype of the Hyper Scrambler 2. There is no mudguard versus the Scrambler, so I'm not sure if that was something that they forgot to do. I mean, obviously you can put one on. It just takes a screw here, down here. I actually don't mind it. It hasn't squirted much water when I ride in the rain, and most of it'll come back here anyway. But what the big difference obviously is the batteries. So these are heavy batteries. These are like 20-pound batteries. So you're adding about 40 pounds total with batteries to a already kind of heavy bike frame. So I believe the Hyper Scorpion's around 100 pounds. So we're going to get well over 100 pounds here, and you can definitely feel it. As for power, I've hit about 1700 watts on the Hyper Scorpion, almost 1700. I've been in the 1600s pretty reliably. I would say 1700 is probably the max. With this particular bike, with the Hyper Scrambler 2, I've been closer to 2000 watts, so 2 kilowatt bike. Not quite there. I think I've hit about 18 something. So, not much of a difference in power. Obviously, with 2 batteries, you could have twice the output if that was in the cards. The controller, though, doesn't do that. I don't think the motor is up for it particularly. But everything else is kind of the same, and you should check out our Hyper Scorpion review. You got the same Shimano Altus derailleur in the back, same gears, same sprocket, same front sprocket as well. So that's pretty much the same. And you're probably, as you can see here, you're probably almost always going to be in the lowest gear. You're going to have no problem pedaling with the help of the motor. The only time you would take it, you would make the gears a little easier for you is if the motor was giving out or you wanted to ride slow without the assist or an eco mode for some reason. You know, it's all there. So anyway, let's go back. So the handlebars are pretty much the same. Obviously, we're talking about a little bit lower here versus here. The ride height is a little bit more forward on the HyperScrambler versus this HyperScorpion. You have the same rear view mirrors. You have the same control system here. Same lights in the back. Pretty similar gears system. I mean, this might have been, that's why it's upside down, might have been a prototype thing. Same USB port, although I'm going to adjust this and put a phone thing down there. I think that would be pretty cool. The big difference, obviously, is the battery system. So you got the on-off here, which is not terribly convenient place to put that, but also harder for crooks to take it, I guess. But then you have to come around to the other side if you want to take the battery out. That's a little bit of a hassle. And then, of course, you got to get the right key, which I never get the first time. And then you kind of pop the battery out like that. And you can actually ride around with just one battery, so it's a little bit more like the Scorpion. And if you live in an apartment or you just don't want to bring your bike to a charger, you can kind of just ride around like that and pop the batteries in and out that way. Not a bad way to live, to be honest with you. So we already talked about how the Scorpion has turn signals and a really nice bright light, while the Scrambler has the same setup. And you'll like it. It's quite bright. I almost hit a deer. I probably would have hit the deer if I had a regular bike light. This throws a really wide angle light, and also we have really big brakes here. So I think these are like 200 millimeter brakes, and then the same in the back. They're hydraulics, you can tell, and yeah, so you also have rear lights, just the exact same. What's kind of interesting here, though, is that the regular Scorpion just has a rear light, which is good, but no license plate. But the HyperScorpion and the HyperScrambler both have places where you theoretically could put a license plate. However, they don't come with VIN numbers, so in the state of New York, you can't really register them. So for me, that means they're pointless, but it's still fun to ride off-road. I think the Scrambler is more meant to be kind of an off-road bike. You'll notice that it doesn't have a rear mud guard either, or a light, or a reflector back there. So no mud guards on the Scrambler versus the Scorpion. So I guess the Scorpion is more of a road bike. This is supposed to be kind of off-road, although the tires wouldn't kind of lead you to believe that. Tires are exact same, wheels are the exact same. A lot of the similar parts used across all of these bikes, which is good, because that means there'll be lots of replacements and lots of easy products to find. Let's take the HyperScrambler for a little ride.